I'm 2 months postpartum, so what do you say I finally share my birth story with you guys? Apologies in advance if you can hear my washer and dryer. I am so behind on laundry and I can't sacrifice pausing it so that I could film this for you guys. I just really need to get caught up while Banks is at preschool. Baby is napping. Hopefully he stays napping so that I can finish filming this. So this all started 2 months ago whenever I was 38 weeks pregnant and some days. I think I was 38 weeks, 5 days. I went to it was supposed to be my very last appointment before my inducement date, which was like 5 days after that. So I was like, let's do a membrane sweep so it could be my last chance to experience going into labor naturally, because my first birth I was also induced. Since IVF pregnancies, you have to be induced at like 39 weeks. Has to do with the placenta. The placenta starts degrading faster in an IVF pregnancy, so you have a higher risk of stillbirth. So obviously wanted to avoid going over 39 weeks. So inducement was planned, but wanted to try and go into labor naturally since I've never experienced what it's like. And this is supposed to be my last baby, last pregnancy, but everything's just been so wonderful. I kind of want to experience it one more time. But anyways, back to the birth story. I go into my appointment, we do the membrane sweep, but I was only like a centimeter dilated, so she couldn't really get in there too much. And she said she didn't expect it to do anything, but in my mind, I was like, we're gonna still try to get things jump started. So I came home and I did the Miles circuit. And that's when you like lay like in a few different poses, and it's supposed to like really, I don't know, cause, I don't think it's supposed to cause contractions, but it's supposed to like open up your like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's supposed to help get labor started, and it did for me. I started getting really bad back pain, and at first I thought it was just being sore from like laying in that like weird position for 30 minutes straight, but it did not stop, and I couldn't get comfortable. I couldn't stop like moving around, writhing in pain, so I knew that had to have been labor contractions. So I think around, what time was it? We still had Banks with us. It must have been a Tuesday or Thursday when he wasn't at preschool. I think it was a Tuesday. Everything's kind of a blur because I waited so long to talk about this. So he was with us, and our dog had a nail appointment. So my husband was like, I'm gonna drop you off at labor and delivery. You can get checked, and then they're gonna go do that. And we thought, we'll kind of just go from there, see if they're gonna keep me or not. They sent me home because I was only a centimeter dilated, or maybe I was like a centimeter and a half at that point, and they were like, yeah, you're having contractions show up on the monitor, so that's what the back pain is. I was kind of like unsure, since I've never experienced labor naturally, if like I was just having really bad back pain or if it was contractions. My mom had back labor, so I kind of thought maybe I would experience that too, which is what I had. All my pain was in my back. I didn't experience any pain in my front stomach area at all. I could see it contracting, but all the pain was right back here. So they sent me home, and it was pretty quick. They were still at the dog nail appointment, so I was just pacing around the outside of the hospital for like 20 minutes whenever they were coming to get me. But honestly, pacing around was like relieving. Whenever I was having that back pain, I couldn't just sit still or like lay down. Like I wanted to keep moving, and that's good to progress labor too. So came back home. I think I ended up taking a nap. Banks wanted to cuddle up and watch a movie. I was just like laying on my side for probably a good 2 hours, fell asleep for like 40 minutes, and Beckett got his mom to come here and pick up Banks because we knew I'd be going into labor within the next few days, if not that day. So we wanted Banks to be taken care of. Throughout all this time, I also could not eat at all, so that was very unlike me. I'm usually a very hungry person all the time, so I just knew in my head that it's gonna be happening really soon. So once Banks got picked up, I was like, let's go back to the hospital and get checked out, because it was getting a little more painful. It was almost nighttime, and I was like, I don't wanna be trying to fall asleep in the middle of the night and like go into labor at my water break and it'd be more stressful because it's the middle of the night. So just go early. I also was GBS positive, so my OB told me I had to be on the IV antibiotics for 4 hours before the baby came out of me. So I was like, I don't want to get there too late and not have enough time to have the IV antibiotics. So I want to say around 7 or 8 o'clock is when we went back to labor and delivery, and I had to go in by myself because they don't allow like partners to come in until you're fully admitted, which sucks. But went in by myself. I was just anxiously waiting to get my cervical check, which normally, I don't know why, the first pregnancy cervical checks were so painful, but this time it felt like nothing to me, I guess because everything's just kind of, I don't know, been through it before and you're just like used to it. So I was excited to get my cervical check. I was like, please tell me I'm like 5 centimeters dilated so I could just stay here. And it turns out I was 3 centimeters dilated, and they're like, we could tell you're in active labor, but usually we wait till you're like 4 or 5 centimeters. So they called my doctor, and luckily she was like, yeah, keep her she can be admitted. So I was super happy. I wanted to get my epidural ASAP. So I was like, hurry, get me admitted. I want the epidural as soon as possible. I don't want anything to be lagging, like if the anesthesiologist is busy or something and I end up having to get it later. Like I'd rather just get it early versus later. So we got all checked in, got our room. My husband was able to come in and we were just so happy and excited. I forgot to mention too, whenever I was in the triage area, like getting checked in to see if they were gonna admit me, they did an ultrasound to check his placement and the doctor said that he was head down and she was like super low. She's like, oh, that's why you're in so much pain. He's super, super low. So I was not expecting my OB to come in and eventually tell me that the baby was breech, but we'll get to that in a second. So I think we were kind of just chilling for like 2 hours. I had to get blood work done before they could do the epidural, and then finally got the epidural. Nurses were still checking on me. My OB showed up and she's like, okay, let's do a cervical check. And she was gonna pop my amniotic sac to get things going. So I could tell as soon as she like put her hand in there, her face just changed and she's like, what am I feeling? So she didn't say anything to me yet. She just had them get the ultrasound and she started doing it. And then she looked up at me and she was like, yeah, that's not his head. I'm feeling his foot right there. And the amniotic sac was like bulging out. So kind of got into a little bit of a panic mode, but I was trying to stay positive this whole time and I'm so proud of myself because I really did. I did not have any panic attacks or like crazy anxiety, so just very healing experience compared to last time. So we were super confused because the day prior I had my ultrasound, he was head down, and then that day I went and got the membrane sweep. She said she felt his hand kind of like, I don't know, right at the entrance of the cervix. She thought it was his hand on top of his head. We didn't think it was a big deal, but now we've realized he had to have flipped overnight and that was actually his foot that he was feeling, not his hand on his head. So she kind of gave me two options. She said we could try and flip him manually, but she could see on the ultrasound that the cord was like wrapped around his leg. So she said it's a cord prolapse, I think, and with that there could be a risk of an emergency C-section if she tries to flip him manually. And I was like, I don't want to mess around with that at all. I would rather just have a C-section. He was breech for so long during my pregnancy that I was like, I'm gonna have a C-section. Like I just mentally prepared myself. So the fact that he did flip last minute and I was like, oh cool, I can have a vaginal delivery. And then he flipped again last minute and I ended up having a C-section, just kind of hilarious to me, but at least I was mentally prepared. So I told her, no, don't do that. We're gonna do the C-section. So we had to just wait in line. There was an emergency C-section happening and they were taking forever, then they had to clean the OR and everything before I could go in. So we were just chilling for like 4 hours and I already had the epidural. I was in no pain. Since I was having a C-section instead of vaginal delivery, they came and like upped the epidural medication. So it wasn't like a full spinal, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know all the terminology. I don't know if it then turned into a spinal or if that's a completely different thing. But I was a lot more numb instead of just like legs down. It was like really up to here. So they wheeled me back to the C-section room and Beckett had to wait until they got me fully prepped. I don't know why he couldn't be in there while they were like, I don't know, marking where they were gonna do the incision and stuff. So he was outside and I was just kind of anxiously waiting there. They make you like put your arms out. And I could tell they weren't trying to tell me that they were pinning my arms down, but I could feel it. So I couldn't see everything that was going on, which I was kind of glad. I didn't want to see anything gory, but I could tell that I was pinned down and it was a little bit anxiety inducing, but I was just waiting for Beckett to get in there. So they got me all numbed up and everything. I think they gave me a medication to like calm me down too. The anesthesiologist said I could always ask for that or he would just give it to me if he felt like I needed it, I think based on like heart rate and stuff. So he gave it to me without me even having to ask for it. So they started to like test to make sure I was fully numb before they were gonna cut into me. And I was like, okay, cool, I don't feel anything. And Beckett still wasn't in there. So I'm like, when are they gonna have him come in? And then finally he walked in and he said, I'll never forget this. He walked in like literally right when they had just cut me open. So he literally walked in and saw everything and was like, oh my gosh. So we both don't like seeing gory stuff like that. So then he came up by my head and then he was just with me the whole time. So that was good. It felt super fast. I didn't really feel any discomfort or pain during the whole thing. Just anxiety, just nerves, but it was adrenaline. It wasn't like a bad thing. And then they pulled baby out. Beckett got to see her pull him out. He said that he was fine to do that. So they let him watch. And he was like kind of stuck in there. His head was like way up here. And Beckett said she had to like twist him out and like pull him out by the legs. I don't know, it was crazy. So he'll also never forget that. And then he snapped a picture for me of him coming out since I couldn't see anything. I'm still kind of mad that they don't let you like video record in there because I really wanted him to get placed like right by my face and to get that on video. But he came out with some breathing issues anyways, so they didn't even put him right by me. He immediately got taken to the next room over. and it was like a window, like glass divider between us, so I could still see him on the table as they were like suctioning stuff out of his lungs and getting him all ready, and Beckett was in there with him. But it was silent, so I couldn't hear what was going on. I didn't know what they were saying to Beckett. And then I'm just laying there getting stitched up, and I'm thinking they're gonna bring him in to me any minute. But then I see them put like an oxygen mask on him, and I'm just like freaking out at that point, and Beckett's over there with the baby. He's trying to tell me things are okay, but when you're laying there not hearing what's going on, seeing an oxygen mask on your baby, it's definitely really scary. So they came in really quick and showed him to me, and they're like, give him a kiss goodbye, he has to go to the NICU, but you can see him in a couple hours. And that's exactly what happened with my first baby. So I was more mentally prepared. I wasn't freaking out. I was like, okay, another NICU baby. Didn't want to have that again, but not the biggest deal. So just had to wait in the recovery room. I told Beckett to go be with the baby. I had to be in the recovery room for 2 hours, just like laying down, and they monitored me. I was on the phone with Beckett most of the time, or my mom. And during that time, I just remember being like so shivery and shaky, like really, really bad, to the point that it was hard to talk. Like you're just like, so that was the most uncomfortable thing. But that weared off after about 2 hours, and then they wheeled me into my postpartum room, and I was under the impression that I would immediately be able to go up and meet the baby. But they made me wait, I think, was it a full 12 hours? They wouldn't put me in the wheelchair if I was numb. They needed me to be able to walk out of the bed and like step into the wheelchair. So of course, after having a procedure like that, you're gonna be numb for hours. So I had to sleep it off. I gave birth at 1 in the morning. So I had to just go to bed and not see the baby until the following day, whenever I was fully not numb anymore, which was very disappointing. But in hindsight, like looking back, it's all fine. Everything was a very positive experience. Can't change it. Of course, I would have wanted to hold him sooner than I did, but it worked out, and I just am so happy that he's here. He's been the best little angel baby. He's so easy. He sleeps so good. He doesn't really cry. Banks was a little bit colicky. He had what's it called, CMPI, and like a soy protein allergy. So every time he would eat, he was just so fussy and uncomfortable and in pain. This baby is just so easy, and he makes me want to have another one. I feel like I've been blabbing for so long, and I don't know if I left out anything important. So if you guys have any questions about any part of the experience, or if you're like about to go through this and just have anything you want to talk about, comment whatever, and I'll happily respond to as much as I can. I try to sit and reply to comments whenever I'm like holding the baby, if I'm nap trapped, if he doesn't want to sleep, and I'm just like holding him in the rocking chair. So that's whenever I get back to you guys. And yeah, I'm gonna try to be posting more long form videos because TikTok's potentially going away, and I'll have a little bit more free time, I feel like, because I post a lot more on TikTok, but now YouTube Shorts started allowing 3-minute videos. So that's been super nice, because on TikTok, a lot of my videos are over a minute, and then I have to like edit them a second time to shrink them down to post on Shorts, or I just don't post them over here. So now you guys will be getting a lot more videos since YouTube Shorts updated that. But yeah, I think that's all I have to blab about right now. I feel a little stir crazy because I'm just like home most of the day, so talking to a camera and just like opening me up to be able to just blab and talk forever, since I'm talking to a baby all day. So yeah, thank you for watching and listening to my little birth story. I'm excited to start vlogging more for you guys. Even if it's not in long form, it's gonna be on Shorts. I'm gonna be more consistent, trying to get in the groove with 2 kids, but I will be there soon, I promise.